Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Movie Magic Show for Wednesday, the 3rd of November, 2021. I'm one of your hosts, Shane Bailey, joined by my wickedly talented cast. To my right... Who's to my right? Hang on, let me double check. I was like,
I don't have.
he loves his VR and shaking his hips like Shakira. Please welcome the era of Jason Mira. I threw you off. I threw you off with me being thrown off. That's how that happened.
It's okay. We got there.
And to his right, the dulcet tones in your headphones, here to engineer a sincere atmosphere, Terry Fear.
Good evening.
And to his right, it's the film filleting, TV show hating, thought elaborating, Mr. Movies, Ben Stapleton.
I was thinking social collaborating, but I forgot to suggest it to you. But that's a good one too.
I was going to go with Deep Rock Galactic dominating, but that's a bit much. That's a bit much.
Good.
Anyway,
Such a good game.
how are we, gentlemen? Ben, how are you down there?
Rock and Stone, Shane.
Yeah, for Rock and Stone.
Yeah, I've got this week off, so I've been watching movies and
Ooh.
looking around.
I did not know this. Nice. And Terry, how are you?
Yeah, I've not been the best the last couple of days. Been feeling a bit run down, so I had
There's a gas.
yesterday off work. No, it's just weird exhaustion. But back at work
You've got,
today,
like,
which
a
was
new
fine.
paint job on your wall.
That's been like that for a few months.
It's been a while.
I don't remember the decal. I just remember the color.
Yeah, I picked the color because of the decal.
Yeah.
Right, and Jason, how are you?
Living the dream. That's what I say. I've been watching cool movies, catching up with friends. We watched Midsummer on Halloween. We figured we'd choose a scary movie. It wasn't as scary as I thought it'd be. Very unsettling though. Very lot of like, ooh, that's very interesting. So I can recommend. We watched the director's cut, so it was almost 3 hours, but I did like it. Very, very beautiful cinematic shots. Very interesting imagery. I can recommend. Shane, I think
Midsummer.
it'll be safe for you.
Oh, you think so? Okay.
I think it'll be safe. It's not like jump scares or anything. It's just like that's unsettling.
Talking to Shane about scary movies is like talking to a person about chili that doesn't like hot things.
And I also don't
Yeah.
like chili. That's also...
Right, yeah.
I'm of the mind, like, would you like some pain with this food? I'm like, no, I wouldn't. That's not why I eat food.
That just makes me think of the meme of the different vegetables. And it's like, it goes through a bunch of different vegetables and gets to a chili. It's like, I want to hurt you. And then the person's like, that one. That's the one I want.
Amazing. Anyway, for those tuning in for the first time, this is the Movie Magic Show. Every Wednesday, 8:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time, we chuckleheads get together to love, like, bash, and trash the latest the entertainment world has to offer. I need to stop saying the latest the entertainment world has to offer, because when we review films like Alien from 42 years ago. Anyway.
Becoming director, you know.
Are you serious?
It wasn't that long ago, was it?
1979, 42 years ago, yeah.
Oh, 79. Okay. I thought it was an 80s movie for some reason.
Yeah, now I've thrown
my
off
hair
my
get more
spiel
grey.
because I can't remember where I'm at. Anyway, you can catch us live here on Twitch, twitch.tv/magic_cast every Wednesday. And if you'd like to catch our past reviews, head on over to my YouTube channel, just Magic Casts, all one word, on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter as well, at Movie Magic Show. We'll notify you when we're going live and what films we will be reviewing. Speaking of films we'll be reviewing, like I said, this week we will kick it off with our review of Alien, a horror film to coincide with the horror holiday that is Halloween that happened this past weekend. And then we shall also be reviewing Shang-Chi, which is the latest MCU film
Horror film,
to grace
yes.
our screens. Yes, scary. We'll also play a little movie actor go, of course. Before we get to those, though, we need to set up our end games. Speaking of Marvel, these are games we like to play at the end of the show. First and foremost are our movie quotes. We're going to give you 2 quotes. You need to try and guess which films they're from. I'm going to the era of Jason Mira for movie quote number 1.
I don't know why I cleared my throat. I'm not going to put any inflection in it. Okay. Okay, here we go. Remember, all I'm offering you is the truth. Nothing more.
I know this one.
Yeah.
I feel like I definitely do, but I haven't quite caught on. And movie quote number 2, courtesy of yours truly, has most of these guys stumped.
Oh, yeah.
I threw this out in the group chat, I think on Monday, It's
Yeah.
been 3 days now. They haven't caught on to it. Let's see if you can, dear listener, or viewer, I should say. No amount of money ever bought a second of time. No amount of money ever bought a second of time. Those two quotes will scroll by in the ticker below. Let us know in the chat if you know which films they're from. And the other game we like to play is 6 Degrees. We're going to give you 2 actors. You need to try and connect them via actors they've starred alongside in other films. I'm going to Mr. Movies for this week's subject actors. Ben, who are we connecting?
Subject actor 1 is Rachel Weisz, and
Ooh.
we're going to connect her to Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
What?
Okay.
Who is that?
Rachel Weisz, Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
I know who that is. You facetious
Rachel
ass.
Weisz is in The Mummy.
The Mummy.
She's
Oh, yep.
in-
No, say no more. Say no more.
Okay.
Perfect.
They're in a
Anyway.
movie together.
Daniel Craig's wife.
Oh, are they? Shit.
Oh, I didn't know that. There you go. Nice.
Okay, well then you can do it without that movie.
Okay.
Who are they in?
Anyway,
The Mummy Returns.
wait, have we sold already? Is this...
Yeah. They're in the same movie together.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
they totally are.
Ben, new
Oh,
subject
no,
actors,
that's-
please.
no. He doesn't have any speaking. It doesn't matter. He's not even in that. It's like a scan of his
He
face.
is in that.
Yeah.
It's in the prologue.
He's
Yeah.
It's like a,
Oh, machete. That's his only line.
How about,
Yeah.
how about we,
Yeah,
how about we
that's
change it right now? What
All right.
who else could we do? Maybe The Rock to who else? Ben, pick another...
no, I like Rachel.
Oh, you
Weisz.
like Rachel Weisz? We'll
Yeah,
change, we'll
Rachel
change The
Weisz.
Rock then.
Rachel Weisz.
Yeah,
Rachel
me
Weisz.
Change The Rock.
Let's go Matt Damon.
Matt
Okay.
Damon.
Are they in a
Updating
mummy
the ticker.
movie together?
I don't know if they're in a Mummy movie together.
One of the mummy movies that, yeah, I didn't think of the Mummy Returns.
Anyway, Rachel Weisz to Matt Damon. We will
My
come to a solution together at the end of the show. Before we get to the end of the show, let's get to the start of the show with our first review, and it is going to be of Alien. Like I said, this one released. Oh, hang on, let me get my sheet up because you might know, dear viewer, that as of a couple of episodes ago, I like to put together a spiel, make sure we hit all the important parts of the topic. So I'll kick it off. Alien is a 1979 sci-fi horror film directed by Ridley Scott and written by Dan O'Bannon, based on a story by O'Bannon and Ronald Shusett. It follows the crew of the commercial space tug Nostromo, who encounter the eponymous alien, an aggressive and deadly extraterrestrial set loose on the ship. The film stars Tom Skerritt, Sigourney Weaver, Veronica Cartwright, Harry Dean Stanton, John Hurt, and Ian Holm. The film was met with mixed reviews on release, but was a box office success, winning the Academy Award for Best Visual Effects. In 2002, Alien was deemed culturally, historically, and aesthetically significant by the Library of Congress and was selected for preservation in the United States National Film Registry.
Wow.
In 2008, it was ranked by the American Film Institute as the seventh best film in the science fiction genre and as the 33rd greatest film of all time by Empire. The success of Alien spawned a media franchise of films, novels, comic books, video games, and toys. The film franchise now comprises 6 films, including Alien in 1979, Aliens in 1986, Alien 3 in 92, Alien Resurrection in 97, Prometheus in 2012, and Alien Covenant in 2017. The first film also launched Weaver's acting career, providing her with her first lead role. Today, some 42 years after release, the film has an IMDb rating of 8.4, placing it at 52 in IMDb's top 250 films, and a Metascore of 89 on the Rotten Tomatoes. Gentlemen, take your stab. What do you think?
Rotten Tomatoes. That's critics.
Critics, thumbs up, thumbs down, positive percentage. What are we thinking?
We said it was mixed reviews when it came on, but I'm guessing they're still collating these.
Well, yeah,
I'm
Rotten
gonna go
Tomatoes obviously a
solid.
lot more.
That was a nice line, Terry. I like it.
A
Yeah,
lot more.
solid 80.
I'm maybe 89.
I'm thinking it's
Nice.
got to be in the 90s, 93.
98% certified fresh.
Whoa.
Oh, so close.
So yes, obviously
Respect.
Rotten Tomatoes
That
not
much.
collating critic reviews back in 1979.
No, of course not.
Unless
No.
there's some like guy outside of Gromwell's Chinese Theatre with like a Rotten Tomato stand. Maybe that's how this thing originated. Maybe he was collecting their reviews on
He
exit.
may have.
Thumbs up, thumbs down, guys. What are we thinking? Percentage. Anyway.
Or it was like throw a tomato, don't throw a tomato. So for every thrown tomato, that's a negative review.
There you
for
go.
every not thrown tomato.
Yeah.
Yeah. I liked it.
Yes. So obviously, like Alien really doesn't need any introduction. But we should note that 2 of the 4 panelists here tonight hadn't seen it before this week.
Yeah.
Myself included, and the other being the Dulcet Tones of Terry Fear.
What's up?
So I'm keen to go to you, Terry. Like, you know, obviously
Yeah.
this is seminal sci-fi, seminal horror film. Yeah, what are your thoughts coming out of it for the first time?
I really have to say, I thought that this movie was way more recent than 1979 because of how well done it was. That's not to say that cinema that old and older can't be good and hasn't been good, but the visual effects, the practical effects, the atmosphere that is cultivated throughout the course of the film is just I don't know, but it was good. I don't do scary like Shane. I'm probably not as sensitive as Shane is to the scary movie genres, but yeah, this movie was pretty. I don't want to use the word horrific, but it was definitely scary. I had this sense of urgency that I shared this sense of urgency with the crew members as things are kind of unfolding. I was blown away at how young the guy that plays Bilbo Baggins in the Lord of the Rings original trilogy is in the film. I always forget his name.
You know, yeah.
Ian Holm. Yeah, brilliant character that he plays, and the scene where he goes haywire is like really quite good, but also equally terrifying because it's like this idea of an unfeeling, not like the moral quandary of whether or not a person is expendable or not doesn't exist for his character. He's like, I have an overriding directive that makes your human life worthless in my eyes, and because you're saying that you're going to compromise what my overriding directive is, I'm gonna strangle you to death in space. And yeah, just thinking about that is kind of like, yeah, a bit on the gnarly side. I will say that
was clearly thinking like off the top of his head with how to do murder. Like he's like, oh, newspaper, that's what I'll do. I'll roll it up like this, and
yeah, stick it in her mouth.
she'll eat it, and then she'll die from ink poisoning. Let's do this.
Yeah, it's certainly an odd choice of weapon, but yeah, I don't know, the other crew members. What else do I have to say about this? The film has some of the long-standing tropes of horror movies. It's, we're in a group, we have a task, stick together. 1 minute into the shared task and stick together for safety, they're like, oh, you let it out, you go get it, go by yourself and catch up to us. And he's like, yeah, fine, you know, I'll be right back. And just, it never comes back because he's dead. And that happens. Yeah, I don't know. And like the whiny other female character, like you've got Ripley, who's just stoic. She's like, this sucks, but we're going to get in and get results. And she's obviously also scared, but she's not going to let that come between her survival. Where the other female character is just a whiny, like useless nobody that doesn't even have the presence of mind to duck out of the way of someone assisting her, thus causing his death and then hers. I'm like, really? The guy's like yelling in your face, get out of the way. And if I was that dude, I just would have unleashed whatever weapon I had. I'm pretty sure he had a flamethrower. Like what did they call him?
In the
What
film.
they call flamethrowers.
Yeah, they didn't call it a flamethrower.
Some sort of propane torch that they'd modified or something.
Yeah, he's like,
Some sort of
make
cutting
up a couple of
tool.
hot torches or something.
Yeah.
The captain guy, who, yeah, I don't know. I think this movie is kind of like a testament to like people not wanting to take responsibility, because like Ripley's like, no, that would breach quarantine to let you in, and then she gets overridden by Android McGee, and then the captain doesn't side with Ripley when she's obviously in the right about what the course of action would be to follow. He's like, look, I just don't think it's worth the headache. And I'm like, right, okay. So you've seen one guy die gruesomely, but okay, cool. You're gonna just do what the science officer says. I don't know. Parts of the movie don't make sense because of the whole, I don't know, horror movie trope things, and the movie wouldn't happen if they just did what Ripley said. Like, how it should have ended for this movie would be they stick to the quarantine, the aliens stuck on the outside of the ship, and they just go home, a few crew members down.
Yeah, Captain Dallas, I think his name is.
Yeah, Dallas.
He was just so eager to throw away the protocol. Like, on one hand, he's like, look, everyone, we have to stop and inspect this signal. It's like part of our job, part of the contract that says if there's some sort of sign of extraterrestrial life in any way, we have to investigate it. It's just part of our duties. And then on the other hand, it's like, we have to let us in because this guy's got something attached to him. And he needs to go to the infirmary. And she's like, you would do the same thing in my place. We need to keep you out. And he's like, damn it, Ripley, open up, because it's like a member of my crew is in trouble and so on. I'm not exactly sure that he would do the same thing if it was roles reversed. I think he would be like, oh, better open up right away. And
yeah, the competence level doesn't appear to be
like,
there.
Everyone grab a vegetable and rub it on the thing as it passes through on the way to the infirmary. We're going to get this infection started.
Yeah, exactly. So my thoughts of the movie were a bit conflicted with regard to like the caliber of the crew, but yeah, it's certainly sucked me in, and like the sounds that it's kind of like. Have you guys all played Dead Space?
God no.
I played 5 minutes, and as soon as the first encounter with one of those creatures,
I didn't play
exact
it,
same.
but I'm not a wuss like those guys. I just didn't play because there was an era where I just stopped gaming.
Right.
AAA titles just weren't my deal.
One of the things I absolutely love about Dead Space is something that I do love about this film, and that is the ambient background noise, the baseline atmosphere that's set up by the sounds of things that are happening in this spacecraft. Absolutely suck you into the world. And Dead Space, like Jason, I couldn't, when I first started playing it, I was playing it at nighttime, but like Jason, I
thought you were
out.
going to like put up some description of Dead Space that also applies to Jason.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
So Dead Space, like Jason, you got to take out the limbs.
Like Jason, absolutely horrifying, but by the end you've had a great time.
No, that's not what I was going to say. Like Jason, I kind of wussed out after about 10-15 minutes. But then I realized that the base weapon that you get, this plasma cutter, is basically a scalpel, and as long as you're accurate, the enemies they hold no fear. And so I'm like, well, I'll just keep upgrading this so that it absolutely decimates these things, and I ended up loving the franchise. But I'm glad that I persisted, because I got to experience, I'm like, there's the sounds of like metal bars hitting gangways and catwalks and vents that are just like going psst, and like that shit happens in this film. And so it's kind of like the whole vent scene with Dallas, where they're like, it's ahead of you, just keep going, we'll close the vents behind. And the sound of those vents opening and closing is like, it's grating. It's not as grating as like nails on a chalkboard, but it's like a kind of like it's like
you can feel the oil in the pins. You can just feel that sound. It's so good.
But it's also like the sound
gritty.
of like, it's also like the sound of a door locking behind you for that character.
Yeah.
Like, oh, no way, can't go that way.
Yeah, you're not coming back that way. Your avenue of escape is, but also, I don't know. So atmosphere absolutely crushed it. I found parts of the movie a little bit like odd and confusing. Like, why was the xenomorph just like hiding on top of the desk in like the shuttle? Like, I don't really understand that decision, but it blended in pretty damn well, except that it was like stroking the keyboard with its hand or something. Like, it was a little odd, but really enjoyed the movie. Glad that I finally watched it. It gives me a better appreciation for Ripley in the sequel. like she's like, you know, I've experienced what these things
you've
are
watched
about.
Aliens, yeah.
Oh, love Aliens because it's not a horror movie; it's an action film, basically.
So
It's a space
so
action
interesting how James Cameron took two like sci-fi franchises, Alien and Terminator, and completely changed them around as well.
Yeah,
And like took the female lead in each movie and turned them into badasses.
yeah,
in the next-
believable badasses.
Yeah.
They weren't like invincible kind of plot armor clad lasses. They were like, yeah, steel spined, like, yeah, sheer will kind of.
Like push me in the corner and I'll push you back, bitch.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm gonna knee
yeah.
you in the crotch.
Yeah.
I love Ripley's line in the sequel. She's like, "Get away from her, you bitch!" Just like it just escalates, so that the bitch is just like real, like, "Oh yeah." Anyway, those are my thoughts.
Nice. I think I align very similarly with you, Terry. Very thankful that this one is now on the have watched list and not the to watch list. And I gotta say, pretty proud of myself. I wasn't that scared. I don't know what it was. Maybe it's because it's just through pop culture, I know what the xenomorph looks like. I've seen xenomorph skins, you know, flossing in Fortnite sort of thing.
Oh, right.
So that takes the edge off completely, I think. But no, like I have to. It's difficult with films like this, right? Like I was on a podcast recently, a video game podcast, talking about there are so many gaming franchises that I've never played before, but I would like to go back to them one day just to understand why they're so seminal to the history of video games. Games like Final Fantasy, I've never played a Final Fantasy game before. Metal Gear Solid, I've never truly experienced except for Ground Zeroes, which isn't kind of, you know, there's like
really.
just dipping the toe in, really. So so this is a similar thing. It's like, okay, let me try and put myself in the shoes of someone in 1979 watching this for the first time. And it's really hard to do that, obviously, with 31 years now of life experience watching, you know, countless other films. But a couple of things jumped out to me. One was still in this era of
Jason Mira.
no, still in this era of when score starts to happen, something's gonna happen. Like huge chunks of the film where there is no music, no score, not even like any, you know, ambient sort of backing track, where it's just going to be dialogue and, you know, progressing the plot to the next horror and or action scene. That you know, happens in a lot of films, like not a horror film, but The Great Escape does this as well. It was just like huge chunk of the film where it's just dialogue scene, and then action, you know, picks up, and that's when the music kicks in. You know, to sort of like you perk up and pay attention. So that's one thing I did notice. I did like just like the classic mechanics of setting up this sci-fi world whereby through, you know, just classic storytelling, you as an audience member understand that these guys are alone. There is no one coming to help them if something goes wrong. And also really enjoyed the sci-fi design, particularly when they land on the planet and they're exploring and they see all this different architecture, and it's like, holy crap, this is completely non-human. So even that was creepy. The eggs as well, that was all a bit creepy also. There was one moment where you know, it usually happens in a horror film where you're just like, you idiot, what are you doing? Just do the thing. Like, clearly this is something that, you know, common sense. And that was when they enter into the medical bay again to see Hurt's character without the facehugger on him anymore. It's just like, holy shit, where is it? And they walk in and they look around for a good 2 minutes without shutting the door behind them. And then Ian Holmes' character eventually does so. I'm like, what? Why did that take 2 minutes? So small things like that.
But why didn't they scan him? Like, why didn't he's like, oh, he seems okay.
Oh, right, yeah.
Because
And
I
then
know
it's
what
like-
was happening. You're watching him eat food, drink, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really, like, you know, synthetics don't really need that. But
Yeah. But look, overall, like I think just like I understand why this is now like a seminal piece of cinematic history. I love the character of Ridley and just like what she stood for throughout the entire film. I think she's easily the most fleshed out. Like you get like Ian Holmes, a character. Ash is obviously a big centerpiece as well, and you understand his motivations by the end also. But yeah, like the I suppose the ingenuity of Ridley, particularly in the pod at the very end, and like trying to jettison the xenomorph. Also, I loved all that. Like she was really thinking on her toes. The one thing that I just could not get on the same page with is, and sorry, Twiggy in chat's gonna hate me, but who the fuck cares about the cat? What is why are we saving the cat? Honestly,
Cats
honestly,
are assholes. They are nature's trash.
I don't like she's picking up the briefcase with a cat in it. It's like it's weighing her down. It's making noise. Like it causes Brett's character earlier to die. Like I'm just like, who gives a shit about the damn cat?
Yeah.
Why aren't you using this as bait to distract the damn thing while you get into the pod? Anyway,
Yeah.
that really
That
pissed me
probably
off.
was the plan, Shane. It must have been the plan. Like she's got the briefcase thing. If she sees the xenomorph, she just opens the case and throws the cat at
I
it.
hope so. Yeah, I hope so.
I think that the cat was playing its own game. It deliberately lured Hat McGee to his death because it watches him basically get like scalped and is just like purring. I'm like, you know exactly what you did.
It's just
This
like,
was your plan the whole time.
it's an animal thing, you know? Like,
Yeah.
it's like the cat and the xenomorph, they're like the same
Yeah.
killing machine, except
Yep.
one has got evolution geared in the right direction. The other one's a cute, fluffy thing that people seem to care about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, I'm not sure there's much more I can say. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, and wasn't that scared by it. So
Nice.
No, that's
Yeah.
good. That's
Yeah.
good.
But yeah,
Right.
Jason, Ben, keen to hear your thoughts. Obviously,
I just
yeah.
let the record show that when the chest bursting scene happened, someone in the room was like, "Let's kill it now!"
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that too.
They did.
It like looks around at it and it's just like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's basically looking at them all like,
Didn't Ash
Yeah, Ash said,
Hey,
"Don't
don't-
touch it."
don't touch it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be
So
like,
now
"What
we
the
know,
fuck did you fucking-"
we know that like at the time we're like,
yeah.
that's such a dumb idea, but if we know his priorities or
Mm.
something
Mm.
in that moment now.
but even the other two, like, isn't your immediate thought to grab something and start beating this thing to death? It just burst out of my fellow crew member's chest.
Yeah.
Anyway, so, but yeah, Ben, Jason, any thoughts before we wrap it up?
When I was rewatching it again this week, it took about I didn't realize it took about 50 minutes before I left LV249, I think. I can't
Sure.
remember the name of the planet. And I'm like, damn, like I remember this movie being a lot more in the ship trying to stay alive from the alien. But that's like the last half of the film. Like in the
Yeah.
first half of the film is just is all dialogue setting up the universe and everything, and John Hurt's character in Medbay. So yeah, kudos to Ridley Scott for the patience to like build up the tension.
Yeah.
you know?
Didn't rush it.
Yeah, that's right. And you know, I think I didn't realize it took that long for them to make Aliens.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
like
7 years.
yeah, putting myself in the shoes of the people who watched Alien, I was like, that was a really interesting film. You know, a year or two later, walking down the street, go, yeah, that movie Alien was really good. And then like 6 years later, or how many, whatever. Like, oh, they're making a sequel to that movie? Oh man, that's
Yeah,
gonna be
man.
really scary. And
I
then
wonder
sitting
if-
down in the cinema and going, this guy's got a fucking shotgun.
I wonder
These
what
are
the
colonial
lead time. I wonder what
Marines.
the communication timeline, like from a marketing perspective, was back then. It,
Yeah.
sure, it definitely wasn't like, here are the next 20 MCU films coming between
No.
now and 2030. But yeah, was it like, because obviously no social media, like how was it promoted? Like, when did you first hear about this? Was it like 6 weeks out from release and like there's a trailer and everyone's like, oh, there's posters? Like, what's the go? Anyway, I'm just so curious by that.
I wonder what kind of hold up it was. Maybe there was some contractual thing that Ridley Scott has dibs on directing the second one if he chooses, and so they had to just wait for
Wait
that
that
contract to
time,
expire,
yeah.
something like that, because he definitely didn't want to do another one. He wanted to go do other things, and or it might not have just made them enough money to initially greenlight the sequel. It may have been like, VHS sales after the fact, and then they're like, this thing is getting a lot of like cult hit traction kind of thing.
Yeah, it's getting a lot of play after the fact.
And yeah, I have no idea, but I'd love to know what the answer is to that one.
Mm.
My only notes on this one is like to Terry's very first point is the one I love the most. It was you don't immediately know that it's 1979 cinema when you watch this film. There are a couple of things like the computer, how it's
Oh
like just
man.
lights and a teeny tiny little text interface screen, and it's going. And it's like a fax machine sound, and
Yeah.
other than like that thing and the explosion, there's like an explosion at the end, and it's like
Oh, horrendous! Yeah.
it's just like not great.
Oh, I've got a few things to say about special effects later.
The other than that, it's like yeah, the set design, the sound design, the costume design, like that is not 70s. It's not even 80s.
Yeah.
It's so outside of
Yeah.
the cultural costuming that you would expect from cinema at that time. It's so good that it's a time of its own. The world building that they got to do because of all that extra time on the planet, like they just, you know, the landing didn't go good or something like that, and the ship's damaged, so they've got to spend like a lot of time fixing it, repairing it. We're looking at different parts of the ship. We're looking at the exterior and interior, and tons of just time spent in slow shots, just showing the ship on the planet, and there's just insane winds hitting it, and it's completely alien looking everything. It's so cool. It's such a great world building movie. I loved it. I love it for that. Then like the ship explodes or whatever, and it's like, oh boy.
It's all undone.
Oh, jeez.
I will agree with you on just like production design as well, Ben. Like when they're first examining the face hugger, like, you know, sort of bottom side up, just like the it looked real. Like it's like the fleshiness and the liquid, and it's wet and moist. It's just like it looked like an organism. Like, and same thing with the egg when it
Thinking
opens
about
up.
it now.
Like if you keep, I'm trying to compare it to anything out of New Hope, and I think it would trump it easily, except for obviously the special effects. But those practical things that were built or created, they were masterful.
I really love the chest bursting that they did. That was amazing. And then they ruin it immediately when it like scuttles along the table to run away. It's like, okay, we're gonna get this thing, put it on a hockey puck, and then tie a string to it, and then someone's gonna go yoink, and it's gonna go across the table. Something like that is must have been how they, because it looks really silly. But and the noise that they made for it, that is the only noise I don't like in the whole thing. I even don't mind the computery sounds, especially right at the start. You know, when the AI, or, you know, mother detects the distress beacon or whatever, and decides to wake up the crew, how it kind of powers on, and it's making all these beeps and boops and stuff, and like the siren-y sounds that it's making, it's going, and then it goes boop, like that, and then that's when it decides to put this plan into motion to throw these people into a pretty shitty situation. But love all of that stuff, except for the alien baby voice. It goes,
Yeah.
So I think I heard that the crew, like the film crew actors, weren't told exactly what was going to happen, except for John Hurt, who knew what was going to happen, and Ridley Scott and whatever. And so they were just going to film them for the reactions. And I think I was watching an interview with one of the characters, what's her name, Veronica Cartwright, Lambert. She was just like I didn't know what to expect, and then when it bursted open and blood went on my face, I was like, genuinely like, what the fuck is going on?
Mate, can you imagine that's like just like 2 factors higher of gore than people have experienced, like in a AAA, you know,
Hollywood
like
production,
yeah.
And then you see that, it's like you would just it would be so shocking. I would love to have been one of the people that got to see that at cinema.
What year did Dawn of the Dead release?
Which one?
The original. Because who cares about the remake?
Oh, the remake was good.
The remake was hot garbage.
I do like cool things like that, Ben. Like just things that surely the production team or the director would have done.
Right.
A creative decision to say, okay, these guys aren't gonna know exactly how it's. They're gonna know that something grotesque is gonna happen here, But we're going to try and catch, genuine reaction. It's like any great ad-lib scene. It also reminds me of Captain Phillips as well.
I was
right?
just going to
Where
say Captain Phillips.
Yeah.
Tom Hanks' character of Captain Phillips doesn't meet Bakar Abdi's character. He doesn't meet the actor himself until on set filming that scene. Again, to obviously create the most genuine reactions from or capture the most genuine performances out of the actors in that scene. Yeah, I love that sort of stuff.
I've got a really dumb thought about that scene. Sorry, Terry,
No, go for it.
With the dumb thought. John Hurt chokes on his, like they're eating, drinking and talking and stuff, and then all of a sudden it looks like he's like choking on his food or whatever, and they're like, what's wrong? And then, because obviously something is going very wrong inside. And if he actually did choke on something during the filming of that, was there like a safe
word? A safe word,
yeah.
Not a word because he's choking, but like a safe
action
expression where he'll just be like, time out,
chicken wing.
Actually, I failed to swallow this thing.
Well, isn't that exactly what happened to the guy Red Fox, the African American actor? He was famous for faking heart attacks, and then he legit had a heart attack, and people were like, this guy slays me. And then he died because they didn't realize he was legit having a heart attack.
Wow.
Yeah, there needs to be like a
totally
Hollywood, a movie industry wide, standard to say, yes, like a non-verbal cue to say, I am not acting right now.
Yeah,
I'm in trouble. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's oh goodness, I think it's the Family Guy.
But also, it can't be an action that might be in any form of cinema. So this, maybe not.
Yeah, maybe not. The Family Guy Star Wars film where they've got all of the like Red 2.
Oh yeah.
And then it's like Red Fox, and then he gets shot down, and he's like, "I'm coming, Jennifer." That was a part of the bit that the character did. So it was an homage. I don't know if it's an homage.
There's a reference, yeah.
Yeah, a reference at least. What was my thought?
Shane had just finished talking about how crazy it was to do it like completely unexpectedly and so on. And
filmic techniques about creating genuine.
I was going to say that's one of the reasons why I've seen snippets of the film. That in particular, because it's in like, I think it's one of either Watch Mojo or one of those channels that do top 5s and top 10s. It was like top 10 unscripted moments, and that was one of them. And the other was like Hans Gruber getting let go at the end of Die Hard. They were like, we're going to count you down from 3, and then they go 3 and then let go, and like, so he wasn't expecting to be let go at that moment, so the shock on his face, super genuine. And this was in the list as well. I can't remember what number it was, but yeah. So I've seen this particular scene before without having seen the movie. And I think I've also seen the android go on haywire scene, but I can't remember if that was in a top 10 list or if it just happened to be on the telly, and I saw it happen, because I remember the weird baubles and cables that were coming out of his neck hole when they were trying to put him back together again. I remember that. But yeah, I don't remember why I remember that.
Anyway, that is our review of Alien, 42 years after the fact. If you would like to revisit it, or if you haven't watched it yourself, it is available to stream on Disney Plus right now. So I encourage you to go do that there.